What's a problem humanity solved so well that younger people don't even realize it used to be a huge issue? Last answer is 1. It is astounding that I can hop into a hot shower. I just turn a handle, and there I am, safe and sound and warm. Only 2.3 generations old. So recent it's something like year 3 of human history. Thank God I lived during this time lol. I am weak and pampered, and I know it. Answer 2. I grew up fairly poor and rural. We'd usually lose access to our well in the coldest posts of winter, which meant no bathing, limited flushing, etc., for a few weeks at a time. You better believe I love hot showers. I think I could live okay without electricity, but not showers. Answer 3. Another well water survivor here. Ours wasn't that bad. It was fed by an aquifer. My mom would always fill the bathtub with water before a storm, so we could scoop it into the toilet tank to flush in case we lost power. Very thankful for her foresight. Quite a few this summer, we would bathe in the lake behind our house. If outages lasted a few days in the summer, if they happened in the winter, we would go to someone's house that had power. I don't remember what we did when we were snowed in water heater tank was small so hot showers were short. I remember standing in hot showers for 45 minutes when I went to college just because I could. Answer 4. My grandfather used to talk about this. How when he first got access to a hot shower, he simply could not believe. It was the most wonderful thing he could conceive of. Answer 5. I'm old enough to remember when getting a color TV, air conditioning, a phone, and hot showers were a thing. After my first hot shower, I never took a bath again. Answer 6. That's why I would never was to survive the apocalypse. I've grown up to pampered and wouldn't want to just survive when for the last 35 years I was living it up. Now I'm out scavenging and just trying to survive. All that noise. I get even more weirded out by doomsday preppers who almost fetishize and dream of the world going dark. They're insane and in for the worst rude awakening one could imagine. Answer 7. Only 2.3 generations were definitely ancient civilizations that not only had running water, but had hot running. Trick isn't inventing a way to do it, but inventing a way to make it affordable and accessible to the general public. Which TBF we still haven't accomplished in much of the world. Answer 8. I think their point is more that it's now accessible to people in their private home, instead of accessing it via communal experiences. And springs have existed as long as humans have, but having hot water to shower or in your own home is more recent. But prior to that, people would heat the entire bath itself to warm the water, and share the bath between everyone in the household. It's the hot shower in private home that's modern. Answer 9. It blows my mind that ancient Rome had hot bath houses. I see IG reels explaining how ancient Romans engineered aqueducts that spanned multiple kilometers and other truly massive engineering projects. It's just crazy how much technology they developed so long ago. Answer 10. Polio. Parents used to not let their kids go to public pools because of it. Answer 11. Creating a vaccine for polio also had the knock-on effect of allowing children to learn how to swim and resulted in less drowning deaths. Answer 12. I had no idea it was spread through pools. Answer 13. It must have been a nerve-wracking time for parents taking their kids to the pool after vaccination. Answer 14. Yeah, specifically through fecal matter in the water. Answer 15. It's my fault for expanding the thread. I could have kept scrolling. Answer 16. It's spread by fecal-oral transmission, aka ingesting poop particles. Public pools are a great vector for that, because a kid with a poorly wiped butt can get the water dirty enough to infect all the other. It can also be spread through not washing your hands after using the bathroom, then touching stuff that other people touch. Answer 17. See also diphtheria, smallpox, measles, typhoid. Got so good at getting rid of diseases through vaccines that people have wholly forgotten just how bad they were, and now many of them aren't vaccinating their kids. I remember when I was a kid I was really into historical fiction, Little House on the Prairie, the Dear America books, etc., and I would have to constantly ask my mom what this or that disease was because I had never heard about it before. And even then, my mom wasn't very good at describing them because she didn't fully know their history either. Answer 18. I know so many mums who won't vaccinate their kids because I can't bear to see them get upset while they stab my poor baby. It must hurt them so much. They don't see how harmful the actual disease is and how much that would hurt the kid. They only know the here and now. Answer 19 doesn't even hurt that much. Babies just cry about fucking everything, like a bunch of babies. Source had some babies. Answer 20 WDFs that is beyond stupid. Answer 21 I used to work in a care home and looked after a lady who worked with children impacted by polio. Many of them died, many left severely cruel as dementia is. One beautiful joy was informing her almost daily that polio was now vaccinated against and almost eradicated. Her face every time was a pleasure to see. Answer 22 I'm going to take this opportunity to tell a family story, because it helped me really get just how bad polio and other plagues actually. Great-grandfather was a piece of shit. He was a chronic drunk and was always right on the edge of losing the farm because of his drinking. He didn't give a shit if any of his 5 kids had food or clothes. My great-grandma had to side hustle to feed day. Great-grandma tells all the kids that they have to go into town right after breakfast. Won't say anything other than they all have to run errands. They get to town and there's a doctor doing polio vaccines. She got all the kids the shot, then took them home to her waiting husband who beat her so badly for stealing his drinking money that she couldn't get out of bed for almost a month. I got to hear this story when I found a picture of my grandpa when he was around 10 years old, with a bunch of his friends. I asked him about it, and he teared up and told me how that was the summer before 3 of them died of polio. Answer 23 Your great-grandfather was a shit. Your great-grandmother was an incredible mother. Bless her. Answer 24 People were still getting polio for several years after it was available, because not everyone was vaccinated. Answer 25 A friend of mine had polio. She was born in 1990 in a poor and remote still hasn't been eradicated. Answer 26 My mom's best friend had polio when she was in junior high. She was lucky and only ended up having to use crutches until she died at 35 years old. Answer 27 One of my mom's childhood friends had it too. Fortunately, she only ended up with one leg shorter than the other, so she had a lifelong limp. It could have been far worse. Answer 28 Absolutely. It spread more rapidly in the summer. So kids had to have a lonely summer or risk coming down with a horrible crippling or life-threatening disease. Answer 29 Polio. Parents used to not let their kids go to public pools because of news. Thanks to anti-vaxxers, polio is making a comeback. Answer 30 Stable food and water supply year distance time zones units of. Answer 31 People don't realize that fresh produce year-round is a very recent creation. Heck, people used to rent pineapples. Answer 32 I'm only in my 30s and I remember most fruits being seasonal. Answer 33 I'm in my 40s. In my 20s I worked in produce, and we would field questions all the time about when do the I's come in? Oranges were a big one, strawberries too. I think bananas and red delicious awful apples were the only fruit that were year-round. And even then, a lot of the year they were not good. Super green bananas that never really ripened, and mealy tasteless apples, which is pretty on par with red delicious, or maybe I just never ate one in season, lol. Answer 34 I remember the box of Christmas oranges, that was the greatest thing ever. There was never good fruit in the yes, there were 2 types of apples, red or green. Answer 35 When I was a kid my grandmother lived in Florida. We'd go down to visit her for Christmas, and every morning before breakfast, I'd climb the grapefruit tree in her backyard and bring down 5 or citrus back home in Virginia, was basically inedible by December, but fresh off the tree grapefruit on the patio on a Florida morning was transcendent. It's one of my favorite memories from my childhood. Answer 36 I used to have a pen pal, like literal pen and paper. I lost contact with her before the internet, and now I barely remember what she looks like and forgot her last name, though I still remember some topics we wrote about. Answer 37 Refrigeration and laundry. 2 inventions that have completely changed our lives yet mostly everyone nowadays takes them for granted. Answer 38 Getting online maps and directions. Answer 39 Oh man, I don't have memories before the internet, but I do remember having to print out directions for my mom to get somewhere. Answer 40 You used to have to go physically to the AAA office and get paper maps, then take them home and use a highlighter to plot your course. If you drove a lot, You paid for the Thomas Guide maps and kept them in your car. I remember when this switched to CDs with mapping software and data. And that was amazing. You could see it all on screen, with estimated travel times, and our maps pop up automatically on the magic car screen when we start the car and inform us of traffic delays and speed traps. Y'all younguns don't know how good you have it. Answer 41. Or you grabbed a Rand McNally from the gas station and taught your 6-year-old how to read a map and follow road signs. Mom would periodically tell me her mile marker and ask where it was. Then have me do the math to find how many miles to go till we got to the next bigs. Pretty great, never really feeling lost on the interstate. Still used GPS around town though. IDK how anyone managed that before GPS. Answer 42. We bought maps of each town or had a spiral-bound notebook of all the towns in the county. I had a thick map book that had each state in it with major roads, not just highways, and a lot of times you'd call and ask for directions, and they'd tell you based on a major road or highway exit. You could also go to the library, and they'd have maps from all over. You'd go ahead and write down your directions. The library also had all the phone books. That plus travel brochures is how you'd plan a vacation. Answer 43F, having to fold them up again though. Answer 44. My dad used to be a trucker back in 2002 to 2005. I remember him making me write out his routes from MapQuest because he refused to buy a printer. I haven't spoken to him in 10 years, but for unrelated reasons. Answer 45. The hole in the ozone layer. One of our biggest and only global environmental success stories. Answer 46. And leaded petrol and asbestos in most countries. Turns out we can do stuff when we want to. Answer 47. Thing about lead though is that even the fucking Romans knew it was toxic. We put it in gasoline because it was a cheap way to prevent engine knocking during a time minimal knew it was horrible and did it anyway 'cause money. We shouldn't get credit for solving a problem we knowingly. As an American, I sure am glad we took things like that to heart and learned our lesson. Answer 48. It wasn't originally understood that tiny doses of lead would cause developing fetuses to have brain abnormalities. For many toxins, you can be exposed to sublethal doses repeatedly with no harm. You can take 5 of the lethal dose of cyanide every day and live to 100. Lead builds to in the he body and small amounts do. Subtle people who sold tetrethyl lead knew it was killing factory workers and hid the facts. They are not blameless. But the authoritative opinion of professional toxicologists with PhDs was that a little bit of lead exposure was fine. Answer 49. And those tiny lead poisoned brained fetuses are now all grown up and running the country. Answer 50. One of the most insane scientific studies I've ever read is about precisely this topic. Answer 51. The research estimates that 151 million cases of psychiatric disorder over the past 75 years have resulted from American children's exposure to lead. Answer 52. Similarly, the lead crime hypothesis draws a very strong correlation between leaded gasoline use and violent crime rates, with a 23-year delay. Answer 53. I feel sorry for RFK's worm that died of lead poisoning. Eat it, RFK Jeer. Answer 54. I know it's a small thing, but can we please keep the Jeer with his name? I feel like calling him RFK is kind of an insult to Bobby Kennedy's legacy. Answer 55. Thing about lead though is that even the fucking Romans knew it was toxic. We put it in gasoline because it was a cheap way to prevent engine knocking during a time minimal. Also put it in paint because it works really, really well. It's toxic as hell and everyone knew that, but even today, when it hasn't been used since the 1970s, lead paint looks nearly brand new. Latex paint starts peeling or chipping within a year or two, especially outside exposed to the elements. Even with the risks being known, the politicians didn't want to ban it because it works better than most other modern with asbestos to some extent. Asbestos siding on a house still looks brand new 50 years later, while all of the wood and plastic looks like fact. Lead paint is still used in America for road paint. It holds up so well against environmental elements that we allow it to be used for that. I guess the thought is that most people won't be close enough to road paint to suffer problems from it. Answer 56. Lead is one of those super annoying things where it's not only the cheapest thing that fills its role, it's also invariably pretty damn good at what you're using it for. Answer 57. The Romans knew asbestos was toxic, used asbestos in all sorts. Pliny the Elder noticed, when dissecting people, that asbestos mine slaves had horrible, hard, scarred organs, what we know now as the lungs, while these two sacs in other slaves were lovely. And Roman solution was to only send slaves that were old, weak and or dying to asbestos mines, and keep the better slaves for other, less killy slaving. Answer 58. An acid rain. Answer 59. LA smog. I only saw pictures, but holy shit. Answer 60. When my dad was 7, his family moved from Minnesota to LA. The intense smog in 1967 was such a shock to his little system, and there were days it was so bad that he would just lay in bed struggling to. Recently retired, but he spent the last 20 years working for the Air Quality Management District. He knew firsthand what happens when no one holds polluters accountable. Everyone suffers. Answer 61. Your dad's my kind of hero. Thanks for sharing his story. Answer 62. The Endangered Species Act brought the bald eagle back from near comprehensive environmental response. Compensation and Recovery Act has cleaned up some of the most polluted sites in the country, some of which are now wildlife. I think because there is success, people forget why we have these laws to begin with. Answer 63. Or lots of China, New York. Basically any picture of a major metro area in the 80s vs today is a night and day difference. Answer 64. Chinese officials learned that the U.S. Embassy was monitoring air quality. The Chinese government threatened to monitor the air quality in D.C. and NYC. The U.S. told them to go ahead and do that. This enlightened the Chinese, who started making effective changes, including banning coal-fired ovens and developing some of the most advanced EV technology. Answer 65. China moved a lot of their energy production further away from the urban centers. They still produce a lot of pollution, though per capita they're better than many people think. It's just getting into fewer lungs. Answer 66. I went to Delhi a few times in the 2000s, and every time, for the first few days, my throat would get sore and scratchy from breathing the air there. After 5-7 days, it would go away after what I can only describe as developing a callus in my throat. Answer 67. You know those reaction videos on YouTube, where people watch movies and TV shows and react to them in real time? I've seen multiple young people, as in under about 30 or even 35, watch Die Hard and talk about the cool orange filter they put on the outdoor LA. Kiddo, that's just how the sky looked. It wasn't great. Answer 68. There's a conspiracy theory that the sun has changed, because they remember the sun being yellow as a kid, but now it's, the sun hasn't changed, we've just reduced the smog in the air dramatically. Answer 69. The cleanup of the Great Lakes of North America is a pretty good environmental success. There are still concerns, but they are so much cleaner and far less on fire than they used to be. Answer 70. Far less on fire is great news. Answer 71. I'm 54 and remember reading contemporary reports about acid rain, though I live in the US Middle West, and we didn't have it here. I guess I was young enough at the time that it was just part of the background, but thinking about it now, how terrifying that this was a real part of our world. Answer 72. Fun fact: the guy who invented CFCs, which nuked the ozone layer, was also the guy who put lead in petrol, and thought he was helping humanity so much with his inventions. Answer 73. He was a really good inventor of stuff that turned out to be very bad. Answer 74. After getting polio and becoming disabled, he invented a series of ropes and pulleys to get out of bed. He then got tangled up in and was strangled to was ruled a suicide, but with his track record of inventions, I'm not so sure. Answer 75. Talk about our holy shit history. Answer 76. Including a fancy device he used to assist him in and out of bed after he contracted polio. Genius, he died when it failed and strangled him. Answer 77. He knew leaded gasoline was a societal disaster. I wouldn't glaze the man like this. He obviously wasn't had to take a long-term hiatus to recover his physical health after being exposed while developing it. It was invented to reduce engine knocking, and they weren't unaware of the health consequences. They were just greedy. Answer 78. My first thought when I saw this question. We did a skit or something in 5th grade with a big musical number called We're Killing the Ozone. It blows my mind that humans actually fixed Look at Us Now. Answer 79. We did good with acid rain too. Answer 80 for extra fun. The morons today often point to it as a hoax, because we solved it. Answer 81. Clean water. Answer 82. I was thinking about this the other day while dealing with a stomach bug. After a couple miserable days, I'm fine now, but 100 years ago, my cure staying hydrated would have likely made me even more sick if it hadn't also been the reason for my illness in the first place. Answer 83. I remember reading somewhere about the construction of the first continental railroad in the USA. Apparently, one of the reasons so many Chinese workers were hired was because they boiled much of their drinking water for tea, so they were significantly less prone to stomach bugs than immigrants from European countries. Answer 84. During the Broad Street pump cholera outbreak, which essentially led to the creation of modern epidemiology, it was found that all of the people using a specific water well were affected, except for a monastery that only used the water for washing and almost exclusively drank beer. Answer 85. The story of the investigation by Dr. John Snow was used to believe that the act of smelling something awful caused disease, which resulted in piles of garbage flushed into the water supply. But by proving cholera was spread through the same well, it led to a system to clean water across London. Answer 86. Yup. He made a major medical breakthrough, the cause of cholera, by doing statistical analysis, a great example of how all the sciences were just booming at that time, and how we were learning how it was all connected. Smart, educated people applying the scientific method to every area of study. Answer 87. Those were the days. Answer 88. Hence, malaria from bad air. Answer 89. For those curious, there's a really interesting book by Stephen Johnson called The Ghost Map that goes into the history here of John Snow and how he proved how cholera was spread. Answered 92 years ago. The power went out during the winter for so long that the water froze and the pipes burst. Our entire city lost running water. This was a metropolitan area on the East Coast, so not exactly where you'd expect this to happen. Luckily, I lived in the city but worked in the suburbs, so the next day I drove to the office and stocked up on water. I did it just in time because everybody else did the same, and there was water scarcity in the suburbs a day or two. We were put on a boil water advisory, and I could put the water on my skin, but not my hair or eyes, and I couldn't drink it, so I bathed instead of showered. The bath bomb I bought had a ring inside of it. I'm from Mexico City originally, where water scarcity is normal, so as cliché as it sounds, I keep the ring to remind myself that the first world can resemble the developing world very quickly. Answer 91. You are exactly right. People severely misunderstand how they even get clean water from tap. I would suggest taking that understanding and getting to know how to get clean water, because quicker than we know we are going to lose our right to that water, or pay so much it's unaffordable at this rate. Answer 92. If you're in the US, you can contact your local water treatment plant and ask for a tour. Most places are happy to. Treatment is generally pretty straightforward though. You really want to see some shit, contact your local sewer authority and ask for a tour of the wastewater treatment plant. It's magical. Answer 93. Lack of access to clean water is still an issue in parts of the world. Answer 94. Heck, it's still a problem in the US. There are lots of communities that straight up don't have running water, or if they do, their water isn't safe to consume and can only be used to wash. I think lots of us remember Flint, but they aren't as much of an outlier as we'd like to think, to be honest. Still more live off well water, which may or may not be safe to drink. The teacher I used to work under had a well, but it wasn't potable and she had to take drinking water home from a filling station in town. There are communities in the US that still don't have power too, or that have power only capable of running lights and fans, and such because their wire systems are so fragile and dated. My own city is so old that we still have brick roads and houses whose bathroom is, quite visibly, An outhouse that was crudely grafted on once indoor plumbing became a thing, lol. Answer 95. I don't think most young people know who Dr. Jonas Salk was. Eradicated polio. Answer 96. Polio is not totally eradicated. It's still considered endemic to a few countries, and multiple strains, including the original wild strain, still exist. The only human disease to be successfully eradicated is smallpox. Answer 97. And didn't profit from it. What a badass human. Answer 98. Iodine deficiency. People need iodine to be healthy, but didn't get enough until we started adding it to table salt. Answer 99. Agree. Other fortification efforts of food adding iron to bread products and niacin to flour both helped with deficiency-based. Folate in breakfast cereals has helped decrease spina bifida in infants. Answer 100. Anything solved by vaccines. Answer 101. My mind is still blown that there's a chicken pox vaccine. I remember my parents made my sister breathe on me when she had it so I could catch it and get it out of the way. Answer 102. Yeah, great South Park episode about that. Now it's practically eradicated. It was a rite of passage before. Every kid had to survive a week of hell, except for my stupid lucky brother, as someone never contacted it. Of course, if some stupid anti-vaxxer gives it to him now, it could kill him because it gets more dangerous the older you point. Everyone he probably has, it at least should have the vaccine. At this point, it's his own fault if he doesn't. I'm just assuming he doesn't due to the doctors not thinking he would need it at his age, but he could just ask for it. Answer 103. I got hand, foot, and mouth the other day from my daughter. It's usually a few days of discomfort for a child, then they're back to normal. No one told me how medieval this shit was like for an adult. First you get a really nasty fever for a couple of days. Then the blisters start to appear. 1, 2, 3 really itchy on your hands and feet and around your mouth. Then they double and triple until your feet and hands are covered in them. They itch, but it's painful to scratch them. Your skin burns and it feels like walking on glass. Then you get sores in your mouth, which make it feel like you're swallowing razor blades. My scalp got really crusty as well for some reason. Then after about a week the blisters all pop, and you have just red spots all over your hands and feet. After another week your skin starts to peel off and you lose some toenails. There's no vaccine for that shit. It really sucked. I do not recommend. Answer 104. I got chicken pox when I was 16. I was the youngest of 3 and my 2 sisters had it before I was born. Let me tell you, it's suakitid. I had sores everywhere. On my scalp, on my lips and gums, all over my face, on my junk, in my ear canals. Everywhere. I still have scars in my face from it 25 years later. I missed 2 weeks of school because of how sick I felt. I had to take cold water and oatmeal baths in an attempt to help ease the itching. I don't even want to think about how bad it would be if a person got it at 20 or 30. Answer 105. I have an uncle who had polio. He was lucky in that it didn't affect him badly as a child, and when I was a kid he was the most active guy I knew. On a sports team for every sport, ran and biked daily, because he was told from the time he was 3 that he probably wouldn't be able to walk, declined quickly, and was in a wheelchair occasionally by 35, and pretty much permanently by 40. Watching that kind of active man decline that quickly, because he was born a few years before the vaccine, and exposed to the virus in his first few years of life, will definitely make a person think about how much vaccines have changed the world. Vaccines are miracles that so many people are idiots about. Answer 106. Victims of their own effectiveness. People forget how nightmarish infectious diseases used to be. I don't get vaccines because it weakens my immune system. Kid, we tried that before. Answer 107. They really don't understand that 1.3 to 1.2 of your kids would not make it past 5 years old only 100 years ago. It was brutal. Answer 108. My favorite stat is that at the dawn of human civilization, roughly half of all people were dead before age 30. At the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, that had risen to roughly 35. All development up to that point gained us 5 years. Today, that number is up to roughly 79. In the 150-ish years since the Industrial Revolution, we have done more to advance human survival than in the 15,000 years before it. Answer 109. Exactly, every generation grew up knowing death intimately. Now for most it's theoretical until well into adulthood. Answer 110. I live across the street from a cemetery that was more active between 1870 and 1960, and walking through reading headstones is devastating. It's more common to see ages 20-something and under than anyone above 65. Answer 111. They're adding vitamins into that. New moms are refusing the life-saving vitamin K shot for their newborns because vaccine bad. It's literally a necessary vitamin that prevents bleeding out. Answer 112. And now babies are dying from lack of vitamin K shots because it got lumped into the anti-vaccine bullshit, and parents are refusing it. Answer 113. It's also funny because vaccines work by training your immune system. Answer 114. I won't take vaccines because I trust my immune system. Bitch, how do you think vaccines even work? Answer 115. It's basically gear for your system. That all natty shit is for losers who won't ever deserve or earn their gains. Only mostly's. Answer 116. Smallpox. I came to say smallpox, but the rest too. Answer 117. It used to be one of mankind's biggest killers. It's disfigured or killed untold, made a vaccine, and used it so hard that we drove it to extinction in the wild. It's only left as samples in 2 labs on Earth, and every 10 years virologists meet up and debate whether we should kill the last of it or save it for research. Smallpox lives in a jar we put it in, and will never get out unless we let it. I consider it one of our biggest achievements as a species and a shining example of what we can do when we all pull. Who is anti-vax doesn't know how bad it can get without them. Answer 118. I'm 75. Ask the anti-vaxxers about polio. We used to swim in ponds, reservoirs. Every morning we'd put on our swimsuits. Then one morning my mom got a phone call from another mom. Then she said, "You're not going swimming today." I asked the anti-vaxxers, "You ever had polio?" Want to know why not? Answer 119. My grandma was a nurse before and after the polio vaccine. She worked on a children's polio ward, and she vaccinated 70-year-old mother and people are beyond help and cannot be reasoned with. Answer 120. I'm 45, but we'll remember forever when my mom explained it to us. She wasn't trying to scare us. We were going to visit one of her childhood friends who was in an iron lung, and she didn't want us to be scared. Answer 121. I'll add polio. Answer 122. I'm in my mid-40s, so obviously too young to remember polio. I've seen the scars it left on older generations. Mother explained it to me before we went to visit one of her childhood friends. It was 1987, and he had been in an iron lung since the 50s. She didn't want us to be scared of the machine, but had to explain why he was in the 90s. The priest from our church starred in a local musical production of Gulliver's Travels. They'd heard there was a 6'5" tall priest who could sing and recruited him. What no one knew until he got on stage in leggings was that one his legs was severely wasted from polio, as a sock was a hero. He saved a large chunk of my parents' generation. Polio lives in my head as a scary thing I've seen the effects of, but never had to fear. Answer 123. They're working on that one, lol. Answer 124. Wish we could still say measles. Answer 125. We used to have to chop firewood for heat. Everyone would go outside in the fall and chop firewood for the winter. You had to chop firewood for your grandparents, who were too old to do it themselves. Answer 126. Some of us still have wood-fired heating, semi-rural, and the slow combustion fire is our only heating. Modern tools help a lot. Chainsaws, chop saws, and log splitters make it all far easier work than swinging an axe. Answer 127. You probably also have a wood-burning stove, which is so much more efficient in getting heat out of the wood and into the house. Trying to heat your house with an open fire takes so much more wood, and all the wood you've got to chop. Answer 128. As a kid I chopped firewood for my grandparents, and I'm not even 25 yet. Answer 129. I took a class in high school, might have been called field ecology, where we cut down trees with chainsaws and then used axes to make firewood. Imagine a class full of 15 yaws with chainsaws these days. It was an easy A for kids who were already cutting their own firewood at home. Answer 130. Opening aluminum drink cans without having to carry a church key without leaving jagged edges on the can, and without detached tabs as both a choking hazard and a litter problem. Answer 131. Making aluminum cans ubiquitous to the point where we sculpt interesting novelty cans for production, like energy drink cans with screw top lids. It's an engineering marvel totally taken for the Washington Monument was first capped with a bowling ball-sized pyramid of aluminum. It was the largest single piece of aluminum in the world. Now the stuff is extracting aluminum from ore requires so much infrastructure to already be common and commercial that just didn't exist at we ever lose rubber trees, run out of high-quality sand for glass, or the ability to synthesize fertilizer. We'll have to figure out how to preserve food in clay pots again. Answer 132. The pull tab deserves way more appreciation because it solved like 5 problems at once, one of those tiny inventions people completely take for granted now. Answer 133. And being able to walk freely in the sand without slicing your foot open on one of those tabs. Answer 134 was a very real chance you'd die before your teens of stuff we call preventable. Answer 135. I'd have died when I was 12 before 1921, due to there being no treatments for type 1 diabetics outside of intensive dieting and eventually rotting away into a coma. Answer 136. My grandpa had pee on the stick and guess your blood sugar. By the color it turns, dad had stab a finger and give a drop of blood to the machine technology, along with vials of insulin and oodles of its all cyborg parts. The hard part seems to be connecting it to the internet to download records for the doctors to see. Answer 137. We're well on our way back there. Measles is already making a comeback. Give it a few years and kids will start getting polio as well. Answer 138. Yeah, I've thought about this a lot. People don't know how horrible a lot of these diseases were. Diphtheria is a horrible way to die. There was a kid on my street in 1973 who died from it. He was so young my uncle had polio, and it's very scary. I mean, that's why researchers worked so hard to create way to prevent these deadly diseases. I still can't get my mind to latch onto how people think it's bad. Answer 139. Wait until you learn about tuberculosis. Watched and treated people who looked like skeletons in modern times, killed billions upon billions of humans over our history. Answer 140. Fun fact, you can get tuberculosis from drinking raw milk. Speaking of problems we've solved so well that people don't understand how bad they used to be. Answer 141. Doing so well in eradicating many of them is the reason these morons are allowing them to return. They never saw a polio ward or had a friend die from measles. Answer 142. It used to be so hard to get a vending machine to accept a slightly wrinkled bill. Answer 143. I remember going to a vending machine and looking through my wallet hoping I had vending machine approved bills, or enough change if not. Sometimes those fuckers wouldn't accept brand new bills, either. Had to be just slightly used, but not too much. Answer 144. That move where you have to hold the bill taut and run it along the edge of the machine. Answer 145. Being unreachable. We solved communication so hard that silence became suspicious. Answer 146. Oh God, I appreciate technology, but take me to the forest. Answer 147. I'm silent with no apologies sometimes, but I usually do respond later on when I'm ready to. Answer 148. Big reason the golden age of serial killers ended. If I didn't hear from my wife within an hour of when she should be home, and she didn't answer my call, the cops would be on the case. Back then it was so easy for someone to go missing, and nobody would think it was odd to have not heard from them in a while. Answer 149. So true. There are people that if they could not reach within 48 hours they would get worried and take action to find me and make sure I'm okay. 100 plus years ago, you just saw people when you saw them and had to assume they were okay in between. Answer 150. Does anybody else remember that brief period in the early 2000s when car alarms became standard, but they would go off every time there was a loud noise? So if a construction site next door dropped something, the whole damn parking lot would pop off. Answer 151. Sanitation. Not just garbage, but wastewater, indoor plumbing. Cholera was a real killer. Answer 152. Smallpox, polio, tetanus, whooping cough, diphtheria. Answer 153. Rabies. Let us add rabies to the list of things we don't deal with much anymore. Answer 154. We were losing the ozone layer, and it was having an effect on the southern hemisphere. Sheep in Australia were getting cataracts, and there were more instances of skin cancer in the world. Listened to scientists, restricted the use of CFCs, and the ozone layer recovered. Answer 155. I feel like this was the real last time the world really successfully collaborated on an issue that affected all of us. Answer 156. Vaccines have been mentioned, but I want to call out epidurals and all anesthetics in general. Answer 157. AIDS. Answer 158. Now they have developed a singular shot that makes it basically disappear for like 10 years. Lost so many friends to AIDS. Answer 159. Yeah, it's crazy. Lost an uncle to it. Weird to think if he had gotten it now he'd have been just fine. Answer 160. Yup, sorry for your loss. But yeah, it's treated as a preventable disease in 2 stages. Obviously PrEP so you don't get HIV, but once you get it, it's no longer a death sentence. In fact, most people live longer because they are constantly monitored compared to the average person. Fucking wild. Answer 161. I was a teen in the 90s, and I remember HIV/AIDS being so scary. Amazing that there are so many treatments for it now. Answer 162. It blows my mind how many people are back to raw dogging like STIs aren't a thing at all, let alone having no concern for HIV/AIDS. It's totally bonkers. Answer 163. But I'm on birth control rapid. Please. You don't want HIV, HPV, or any other STI, I promise. I work in a lab where these patients get frequent pap smears. Answer 164. Looking at a photo straight after taking it and not having to wait until it's developed to see if it came out or not. Blurry. Overexposed, underexposed, etc. Answer 165. Workplace safety, the kind when big project plans included a factor for expected worker deaths over its course, like the Hoover Dam. Answer 166. My grandfather is one of many reasons why construction workers are required to wear harnesses when working on skyscrapers. Answer 167. Were tedious to make until within the last 2 centuries. Hence why fashion shifted from elaborate and brightly collared to minimalist clothing. Answer 168. I would add left-right different size shoes, huge game changer L. Answer 169. And really that's only a fraction of you had to wash all those clothes by hand. Answer 170. Being able to have sex without every sexual encounter having a high chance of making you a wouldn't know this by the shocking number of grown adults who don't seem to understand condoms exist for cheap at the gas station and act surprised that going raw made a little human, but we've effectively made sex and having children almost completely separate concepts in the modern age. Answer 171. Automotive safety. Prior to the 1980s, vehicles were massive death traps. Low-speed collisions could cause serious injury. Seatbelts weren't standard, and forget about airbags. The steering wheels were often solid. Highway Safety Commission and sweeping legislation massively improved vehicle safety. Obviously, tragedies still happen, but by and large, people walk away from accidents every day that would have killed you 40 years ago. Answer 172. I was born after seat belts became required, but before all new cars were made with the 3-point seat belt. I don't think our family got a car that had all seats with 3-point seat belts until I was older that I realized how lucky we were to never have gotten in a wreck with those seat belts. And that was in a car that came with airbags. Well, airbag, only the driver had one. Can't imagine how dangerous it was before even those basic contrast. My little brother hit a patch of black ice coming down a canyon from skiing about a decade ago. Was driving a good Subaru Outback. Car rolled 3 times. He and his buddies were all wearing their seatbelts and all walked away with just some bruises. Car was totaled, but they were alive. It's amazing how many lives modern-day car safety features have saved. Answer 173. Digital storage. I am in my early 30s, and I remember walking around with floppy disks, one video game being 4 CDs, because it didn't fit in one, and 510 GB of storage on a desktop computer was the you have hundreds of GB on a phone. We got so good at storing things on hard drives that we started profiting with the cloud now. Answer 174. It is so easy to move my 1,000 book library now one hand. Answer 175 AIDS. That was literally the kiss of death if you got it. Answer 176. The Y2K problem was a real problem that had the potential to cause massive disruption in all aspects of modern life. We freaked the f out about it, spent a ton of money and effort, and fixed it before this a lonely triumph in the modern age. Answer 77. And then a few years later people were joking about what big deal people made of Y2K when it turned out to be a nothing burger, as if the massive industrial effort to address it wasn't the reason it became a nothing burger. Answer 178. Yeah. But as someone who was there, they did take it a bit too far. Y2K compliant became part of a marketing gimmick. I bought an alarm clock, a plug in the wall and resets to 1200 if it loses power alarm clock that was listed on the box as Y2K compliant. Same for coffee makers, stereos, extension cords, all of it was listed as Y2K compliant. What if it wasn't? What would happen? Exactly. Answer 179. I hear people talk about it like it turns out it was all a waste of time and money because nothing bad happened. Yes, it was overhyped in the general media, but in business and IT, we did what needed to be done and solved the problem. Answer 180. I lived through it, and up until reading this, thought it was actually to do some learning. Answer 181. I knew so many people working on it. Answer 182. Refrigeration and air conditioning. Answer 183. How to properly vet and trust scientific. It's not one person running an experiment themselves and posting a TikTok video claiming they found the solution to an age-old problem. Answer 184. But they've got the secret that you don't want me to know about. Answer 185. Dentistry. In the 17th century, dental complications were listed as one of the leading causes of death. Even as late as 1908, a tooth infection carried a fatality rate between 10 and 40. Don't forget to floss. Answer 186. Dental care is still almost unobtainable for much of the US population, but you are correct, it's much better. Answer 187. Polio, measles, mumps, rubella, and smallpox. Vaccines are quite literally victims of their own success. Answer 188. Plumbing. Answer 189. In 1830, one had to work for 5.4 hours to earn enough to pay for 1 lumens of light for an hour by burning whale oil or tallow in a lantern. Today, one must work for 1.7 seconds to earn enough to pay to power an LED bulb to output the same amount of light. Answer 190. Instant access to almost all human knowledge. Answer 191. Before insulin, it was a death sentence. Answer 192. Drinking water that doesn't kill or injure you. Answer 193. Everybody sharing a single phone line in the same house. Answer 194. You barely hear about quicksand anymore, and the Bermuda Triangle seems to have chilled out too. Answer 195. The distribution of information. Being able to instantaneously access info is mind-blowing compared to how it used to be. Dragging your butt to the library was very inconvenient. Of course, now we have the problem of separating the accurate info from the garbage. Answer 196. Measles. Oh, never mind. Answer 197. Smog. In the past week I told someone in their 20s how the LA skyline was brown with smog in the 70s. Then I had to explain what smog was. Answer 198. Waste management. Answer 199. Polio, measles, tetanus. Get your fucking vaccines, you mongrels.